and 40, thereabout, in that vicinity. And he's preparing you that by the time you become a granddad or a grandmom, your grandkids are not going to start where you have started. I hope somebody hears me. Yeah, so it could be maybe just that one line, one sentence that you needed for you to be able to get the break that you are looking for. So today, we have all things this morning, blended families, you know. And unfortunately, it's not really unfortunate. Fortunately, it's one of the things we can never turn a blind eye on, because God is a designer of marriage, as we've learned last night. So therefore, you know, when it comes in different facets and fashions and formats, we've got to really be able to be people that are knowledgeable. Scripture talks about that my people perish because of lack of knowledge. So my late dad used to say, ignorance is punishable by life. So when you do not know, life is going to really give you some very good kicks. But when you know, you can be able to do much better. I would like just to kindly just then take this opportunity to welcome to the stage one more time our dear pastor, Pastor Khaya Mapinda, as he comes to the fore. Amen.
Good morning, everybody. See, are there singles in the house? Yeah, maybe because it's been almost 30 years I've not been single. So I lack that voice. You know, when one is to welcome singles, are there any singles in the house? So I've not been single for quite some time, so I lack that sharp voice for the singles, you know. But it looks like even some of the singles here, you know, they are no longer that much into having that sharp voice. Thank you very much. We have been joined by he's my son and my daughter-in-law and the child from there, coming from Pretoria. He's the son to my elder brother. If they can come, just stand up. Yeah. So we told them that we'll be around here. They said, no, we'll join you on Saturday. We'll just drive in. So they came. So it's these three ladies that wanted to see Middelburg. So then we said Middelburg is a big, beautiful tourist attraction town. They said we'll be there. So I'm sure they're witnessing that. Thank you very much. The topic we are going to look at this morning is one of those topics that affect both the married and the singles. It has evolved over time. In the past, we would caption it as in-laws. But now it has evolved into a blended family, because in-laws were only focusing at the relatives of the people that are married, in-laws. So they are part of this marriage through the legal agreement between the two people. And as a result, then it was exclusive of other people, in particular children, that are part of the people, but not part of the in-law. Then it was changed into a blended family. But again, the word blended, you know, from blend, which means it's a mix. So now we call it blended we are trying to say it is a mixed family. There are different people from that are part of this family through different arrangements. So it's a blended family. I'm not sure then, but I think blended family is comprehensive enough. Now, no one is not part of a blended family, whether married or not married. So it's a topic then that cuts across, because even those that are single might be struggling with the fact that we are part of a blended family. There are infights, or I am a victim of the nature of the family I belong to. So some that are married, you may find that their marriages are faced with challenges that stem from the nature of the families they are part of. Not necessarily from them. They can be attributed to the fact that, look, I've got this package. Yes, the covenant relationship is between the two individuals, but the two individuals have many people that are part of them without necessarily being part of marriage. So that's why then that this topic is quite very significant. I have tried to be very practical, very realistic, because it is a reality we cannot deny. So that we could, number one, comprehend, but also we could sort of grasp it such that we can teach others. Let's then look at this blended family, which some authors refer to it as a step family. In other words, it suggests that there is a core, there is a nuclear, there is also an extended one. So it's a step family. You know the issue of stepdad, stepmom. So you are still my mom, but step, which means once you are a step, there is someone before you. That person might be elsewhere. That person, even if it's in the grave or in another country. So it suggests that you are not the first one. Yes, you have a status of a mother, of a father, but there's someone before you. You are a step. Or already it's somehow divisive, because it tells you what kind of a father are you? What kind of a mother are you? It's better with children because it's grand. It's either child or grand. But when it comes to the parenting, the parenthood is a stepfather and a stepmother. So that's why some authors refer to a blended family as a step family. Now, what is the composition of a blended family? First, there is a husband and a wife. They are a husband and a wife because they are married. Number two, it's children from this husband and a wife, means children from the union. Now, that's what we normally refer to as a nuclear family. But also it's children from outside the union. either because this is a second marriage, so it's children from the first marriage, whether it's because of divorce or you are widowed, whichever. But it is children from outside the union. Number 3 is also children before the union. You gave birth to these children when you were single. So then we agreed to get married. So those children form part of that. And also adopted children. So they form part of the blended family. Parents that are sharing children but not marriage, that again is a very critical component. So, because remember here I'm talking about children. Now, children from outside the union, children from before the union, it's all about children. So which means these children have parents elsewhere who are not part of the union, but part of the children of people who are part of the union. So they have their own rights, access, because they are children. Either they are children, they have the custody of those children, or the custody is with the one who is married with someone else. But they share a responsibility of parenting. So invariable, they have access to this marriage or union. Number 2, they have a say in this marriage or union through these children. Legally also, they have a right. You may not prefer that, but the reality compels you to accept it. That is important. And we often either refuse to have anything to do with these children, or we compromise and say, I can have everything to do with these children, but not their parents. That's not the right way. The reality is, in this union, there's one parent, and another parent is not part of this union. Because the parent in this union becomes a parent to this child or these children by arrangement. So that's why it's a step, not by birth. So which simply means many a times this parent in this union is only as effective when things go well. But sometimes this one may want to have something to do with the other parent. So there is a parent by arrangement from this marriage, and the parent by birth from outside, who is outside this marriage. But is still a parent. You cannot deny the parental status. And then you have got in-laws, that is the parents of the couple. So that's the composition of a blended family. It's important to break it down so that we have an insight. Now, it's going to depend then on the type of a blended family you are exposed to. Many a times, the last one is often easier, than than when it involves children from outside the union and children from before the union. But under children from outside the union, those are some of the children that are born by one of the people in this marriage through a relationship with someone outside the marriage. So it's in other words, you are already married, you happen to have an affair. And that is very prevalent. And it is often discovered, for an example, I dealt with a case of this man who discovered later on, they were blessed with 3 children. But he discovered later on that 2 of the 3 are not his. And then the wife, I said, look, for us to be sure and not to go by rumors, let's go for DNA test. The results confirmed the rumors. My first attempt was, look, these children do not know any other father except you, because they were born when you were married. You know. Then I suggested that, Mama, maybe we can try to balance up. You have 3 kids, can't you have a 4th child? So that at least there are 2 children from this man, and there are also 2 children from... Because I wanted something that could sort of console this man. Because this man is bonded to these children. They are known to be his by the family. And he doesn't figure out how to disassociate himself with these children. And the wife says it's just by mistake. There was no serious, they normally say, no serious affair. And indeed, there has not been any discovery of extramarital relationship. Remember, it doesn't take years for a wife to conceive. So it doesn't, unless I've never been a wife, maybe. But I assume it doesn't take many years. Let alone that there is a gray area when it comes to children, a gray area when there's been an extramarital relationship or sexual relationship in a week by this woman with 2 men. Now, a child that is conceived in that week, whose child is that gonna be? The wife can't tell. So which means we must just trust God. There are gray areas. I mean, that's a reality. Because even medical doctors, they count by weeks, not by days of sexual encounter, by weeks. But if then conception has happened in 1 week, and maybe you were busy like Rahab, if I'm trying to be biblical now, you can't tell. You will guess. Even as a mother, you can't tell. You will guess. So which means the issue of children, there's a mystery around. It's only when you know you never had any kind of infidelity, then that's it. But if there were what we normally call mistakes, then there will always be rumors. I'm dealing also with a situation. These people got married when this woman was pregnant. They got born again when there was already pregnancy, and there were intentions to get married, and then they continue to get married. Both of them are born again. That's fine. But after marriage, a man showed up, and this brother assumed that, well, because I had an affair, so this must be my child. And they literally brought the matter to the pastor to say, we got born again when we had an affair, and there's pregnancy. We had intentions to get married. We want to continue with that. Then the pastor facilitated that. They got married. The child was born. 2 years later, a man showed up to demand access to the child, because this man says, that's my child. Only to find that this woman had also an affair with this man, but this man was quiet about marriage, but this one was very straightforward. I want us to get married. Obviously then, the common sense tells that you would want to. There's future this side. There's gonna be stability. But the man insisted that, yes, I don't have a problem with your husband, with your marriage, but that child is mine. Then I said, okay, talk to the husband and this woman, said, go and do a DNA test. You see, they would take blood samples from the child and that man. And the results confirmed that this child belongs to that man. They are not married. They were not married. They are not married. So in terms of South African laws, a child born outside marriage, the custody is granted to the mother. So that's not an issue. But the issue is this man demand access, demand presence in the life of this baby boy, and has got nothing to do with the husband of the mother of his child, because he has got nothing to do with the husband of the mother of the child. So we are at a stage where now I am saying we'll have to invoke the arm of the law because now this man is disrupting this marriage, is being disrespectful, because the bottom line is they are not married. Yes, but that right must not be abused, because remember, the child has been born outside marriage. So the access can also be through consent also from this. But this one is demanding access, not negotiating access. And this wife is not demanding support from this man. He is not, the child is not suffering. The child is well looked after by this married man. They are looking after. So this man is disruptive in nature because he just demands to see the child without any fair arrangement and so forth. So that's the disruptive nature I'm referring to. Now, this marriage now is in danger of being disrupted by this man. So I'm saying, let them call this man, let there be a facilitator, but in the event then, there has got to be some kind of an interdict, because anyway, it's his child, but they are not married. Even if this child needed support, there would have been arrangement for this father to provide support to the child. So that's part of blended family now. They got married without understanding that there is going to be this aspect of a blended family. Now it's unfolding. So they have to face that reality. So that's the complexity around the blended family. I've broken it down so that you know the various elements and the impact they may have in marriage. I'm saying, therefore, what makes it a blended family? Number one is children who are not part of marriage, but part of the individuals who are married. So that's number one. That's what makes it blended. There are children who are not necessarily part of the marriage, but part of the individuals within that marriage. Remember, it is not a blended family when there is no marriage. I hope you, let me just raise that so in case my assumptions are wrong, that you know. It's not, because remember, if we have children outside marriage and both of us are not married, the man could have children from another woman, the woman from another man. It is not called a blended, because there is no union by any of these parents. That's the point. So it becomes a problem once there is a nuclear family. So in other words, a blended family is a family founded by spouses that have children that are born outside or before, outside this marriage, during the lifespan of marriage, or before. That means before they got married. Number two, parents and siblings and relatives. Now those are your in-laws. So in other words, you can say there are two levels of it. Involves children, it involves your normal in-laws. At least in-laws have a relationship with both of you, and it is known. But children, now, there is no relationship, it's terminated. Now it becomes a forced or a circumstantial relationship. There's nothing to do between the two of us. But because there is a child, we are bound to interact. Ordinarily, we have moved on, but we are stuck in our moving on with this common denominator, which is children. Now, that is important. Again, this is important because Pentecostal and charismatic churches did not do well on bullet one. Even now, those sort of traditional Pentecostal charismatic churches. Their teaching is that once you are born again, you forget, you have got nothing to do. And now, so we have a generation of young people who are victims of the doctrine of traditional Pentecostal charismatic churches around Bullet One. It's complex as that. Even us as Pentecostal charismatic, we have no united stance on Bullet One. We regard those children as people that have been born out of sin, therefore disassociate. He said, so we have parents, we have children that are only told by the public who their parents are. And the church is saying, if you have anything to do with them, by whatever means, you have sinned. I'm raising this because it does not only challenge the family, but also the church is struggling to have a grace to accept this and manage it. Now, because of that, we have challenges, two challenges stemming from this, from our children. The first challenge is abortion. Because one knows, even if I get married, the church will never forgive me for having given birth. So let me abort. It is the anticipated rejection that forced them to abort. That's number one. But number two, not only abortion, it has now led to same-sex relationship. We must play safe because I don't want to abort. How do we prevent that? Let's have same sex. It's still born out of this. Because if a girl has been rejected by a father, now this girl will want to be what the father should have been to another girl, to show what a father should be. Yeah, that's where you have gays and lesbians. It is psychological. It stems from this, and vice versa. So it's very important. Sometimes because the presence of a parent brings an affirmation to the child, to his or her identity. Now, when there is an absent father or a mother, the child then begins to be exposed to some kind of confusion that lead to identity crisis. So that's why now we have got a generation that does not understand which gender are they. Because remember, even traditionally, when you raise a child, that normal thing you do to affirm, my girl, my son, that explains, and you are actually saying you have no identity crisis. You are my girl. Number one, there are two things when you say you are my girl or my son. There is the issue of to whom do you belong? And what is your gender? We know our forefathers have been doing that, isn't it? And that's what made us, even when they could not provide, they could not afford, but that we had no issue about who is my dad, who is my mother. It was enough, especially when the father, drunk, would say, "Where is my son?" You'd feel that I'm a son. I have a father. Where is my daughter? You say, I'm a daughter. I have a father. I have a mother. So that is why then, even the migratory labor system, it could not lead into identity crisis. Because even if a father would come home once in 5 years, that affirmation would not make us to doubt who is my father, who is my mother. Now, the Christian community is lack on this again, affirming the identity and the belonging of children. You have to confess it. You have, yes, it's Zola, that's fine, that's the label. That's the label. That you have to say, girl, my son. Because she must know that she's a girl. So that when, for whatever reason, there's peer influence, we'll begin to say, I can't associate because I'm a girl at home. I'm a son at home. That makes impact when it comes to a parent than any other person. We must teach that. Very important. Even if you at your age, you don't know, stand in front of a mirror and say, I'm a girl, I'm a lady, I'm a man. So that is why, you know, in terms of the circumcision, in fact, a boy is made to say, I'm a man. Even though the son is initiated, but a message is sent out to say, we want you to confirm your manhood. So we want you to understand that we are doing this because we are raising a man. It has got nothing to do with ancestors. It has got something to do with us affirming your manhood. So that's how important this is. Now we are in a mess because we have been overtaken. There's a lot of damage control. We have to have sessions where we really introduce some kind of affirmation, programs that affirm young people, not bash them. That's very important. You may not have money to go out, and all of that. But at home, my daughter, my son, that's enough. In that WhatsApp message, hello, my son. Hello, my daughter. It sends a clear message of affirmation and belonging. That is important. Now, let's proceed then. You will advise me, just a note in terms of how I manage time. Yeah, so that I stick to time. Now, these are other views by different family therapists about a blended family. The slides before are my views, but I felt that, look, I'm not a master. There are people also who have their own views about this. And I'll always like to bring that, so that we have a broad understanding. Now, there's a view from Tom Freidenga. He says becoming a blended family means mixing. Number one. 2, mingling. Number 3, scrambling. You know, a scrambled egg. And sometimes muddling our way through delicate family issues, complicated relationships, and individual differences, hurts and fears. But through it all, we are learning to love like a family. So in other words, regardless of the dynamics, our goal is to learn to love as a family. He's saying we cannot cease to pursue this goal, that we are a family, because of these dynamics. So that's what Tom is saying. An anonymous one says, we are a blended family united by choice. So in other words, we choose, our unity is not natural. So our unity is intentional. We are a family that cannot be united in the absence of intentionality. Now, that is important. So we choose to be united, to be woven together by love and strengthened by each other. So everything that we become is by choice. And that makes sense. Then this one says, family is family. It's one you start out with, the one you end up with, or the family you gain along the way. Now, you know, this doesn't carry really. He says, then what's the issue here? Family is family, whether it's the one you start out with, or the one you end up with, or the family you gain along the way. Family is family. In other words, there is a startup family, the one you start up with. There is a family you find along the way, or there is a family you end up with. It doesn't matter. Family is. So this one is just simplifying it. Yeah, but there is truth there in that statement. Now, what is it that makes this family, blended family, unique? Again, if you can look at this slide and keep in mind the first slide, the structure of a blended family. Because I'm saying it is unique. But what makes it unique? so that we are able to embrace its uniqueness, and so that we may be able to raise the bar, in our relationship. It's a family that is uniquely structured. Slide number 1. Very uniquely structured. I don't have to repeat to belabor that point. It's a family structure with varying authority and decision-making powers. That one is important. Because there are 2 centers of power, inside and outside. So surely, issues of authority and decision-making may vary. There may be no consensus. We could disagree. It's the nature of this. You must be open to varying authority and decision-making. So that's why, for an example, say the husband has got children born outside marriage, or the wife, but the custody is not yours. So those children, when they visit their dad or their mother, you will have different rules in the house than the rules they are exposed to where they are staying. So surely you may disapprove what is approved and approve what is not approved, because there's varying authority and decision-making centers. So which simply means you have got to find a way to manage that by saying, my children do what I normally call 1, family orientation. The 2 things you must learn to do: family orientation and family integration. Family orientation is when then you sit them down and say, look, in this house, this is the bathroom, this is this is the fridge. You open, you don't keep it open for too long, you close. This and this, we go to bed. This is the remote control. This is the TV. Orientation. Because this child is in a new environment. Remember, in universities spend 2 weeks and the money is involved in orientation. Because the universities have scientifically proven that students that have been properly oriented adjust quickly and do well in their academic life. Your former Model C schools, they do now, secondary schools, they do a lot of orientation, because it has been seen to be something very important. A blended family needs that kind of initiative, orientation. Because, for an example, these children, their disciplinary standards may be falling short to ours. They are from rural areas in Limpopo. They are coming to your house here in Middelburg. In rural areas, there are pit toilets. Here, there are flush toilets. So you will find that, the training is totally different. So in rural areas, they rely on newspapers. But here is toilet paper. So there, a newspaper, it doesn't matter how big, because the pit is too big anyway. But here, it's a toilet paper. If it's too big, it may block. You see? And that child may even forget to flush. Simply because where the child comes from, they don't flush. So that means you have got to show and pull it. Don't assume that's how it is flushes. Look, you even take the toilet paper, demonstrate. You flush it, you see, it's flushing out. Very small things. Yes, we eat 3 times a day. This is it, cooking this and this. When you are not full, what must I do? And all of that. Everything, depending on the age and orientation. Don't take it for granted. For an example, if there are parents here with children that are staying in boarding school, be it a university or a school, can you see that after 6 months, once they come back home, you can see that now my home is like a boarding school here. Looking at the organizational setup of the room, the bed, the everything, you see, hey, I see boarding school. If you have never been exposed to a boarding school environment, you will be hard on your child. But if you have got an understanding, you'll begin to say, my child, here, remember, reorientate your child for home. At the boarding school, they don't care about electricity. So lights are hardly switched off. TV is left running 24 hours and so forth. When they're in the shower, they listen to music when they're standing in the shower and begin to dance because they don't care about water bills. But here, you understand. The key thing is orientation. But the second thing is family integration. How do you integrate them and why? You are saying, even though you are not staying with us, you are related. These are your siblings. You may have different surnames, but the womb is the same. You may have different surname, but the seed is the same. I want you to embrace each other as siblings. It's by our fault as parents that you are not raised under the same roof. It's not your mistake. It is our mistake. We want you to rise above our mistake. Now, you do that for their own future, so that they may help each other. They may know that I have a brother somewhere. They may visit each other. They may keep in touch. They may open doors for each other. They may open up on even personal matters. That's your role as a parent. Family integration. For your children born within marriage, it is natural because of the setup. So that's why one easily says, this is my younger brother, this is my younger sister. You don't have to tell. It's natural. But when it comes to blended family, you must be intentional to integrate so that they rise above different clans, surnames, and so forth, they begin to say, we are brothers and sisters, but with different surnames because of the mess of our parents. So, and that is important. Remember, what I like about Solomon, the book of Proverbs, which is the second book of Solomon, and Ecclesiastes, the book of Proverbs is called a book of wisdom. Right from the chapter number 1, the theme is wisdom. And the dominant language is my son, my son. He is actually saying, I did not get it right, but get it right. That's that book. Then the book of Ecclesiastes, then he's pulling the last shots as an elderly man. He's saying, this is how life is. It can be meaningless, but you can still make it. But I don't have time to take you through from the first chapter up to the last chapter of that book so that you understand. What I like about him is that he is writing from a personal reflection. But he says, here is the wisdom against my foolishness. That's the book of Proverbs. It says, be wise. This is my wisdom. This is where I've messed up, but don't mess it up. So that's why even in chapter 3, you don't have to learn on your understanding. And he's saying, yes, I relied on my own understanding. It let me down. I was taught, but I ignored the voice of the elderlies. That's the essence of that book. So family integration becomes the key. Now, number 3 is a family started before marriage or with additional unplanned members and extended family due to circumstances. Now, extended family due to circumstances relate to, for an example, my sister has passed on. Now, all of a sudden, we had to take over. She was not married. We had to take over the children, to raise them, to be their parents, and so forth. So there are circumstances there. So, especially in our culture. So, but you must integrate them. Now, what are the areas where we are often challenged when it comes to blended family? Number 1, there are a lot of interferences. It's nature. Tujonge apha kuthi qile. Iyaphithizela. So it's not stable, Sometimes it's like a boiling pot. A blended family sometimes can assume a behavior of popcorns. So understand, it is challenging in nature. So just calm down and understand that's what it is, a blended family. It can be complex. So sometimes you can have a mental blockage. I don't know where to go, what to do now. So you need to understand, it can push you to that kind of a challenge. Again, there could be issues related to estate. Remember in Judges chapter, chapter 11, Judges, in that passage, there's a young man called Jephthah who was born outside marriage because his father, who was married, had sex with a woman anonymous in the Bible, but she was a prostitute, this woman. So in other words, Jephthah was born out of an adulterous relationship with a prostitute. Then the prostitute said, I can't keep this young man. I'm busy. It's going to delay my business. So the father had to take him in. But at some stage, the young man, his siblings born from marriage, had a meeting. They said, we are all grown up now. Our father can die at any time. If this man remains part of the family, it means he's entitled to an estate. And yet we know how he became part of, let us chase him. They expelled him. Inheritance. So don't be tread with caution when it comes to the blended family and estate inheritance. Also, if this is a second marriage because you are widowed, and you have children from the new marriage and from the past one. Issues of estate, there could be areas of contestation. It could be a question of whose house. Even if you bought that house, your wife was not working. You bought it. It's your husband was working. Then your wife passed on. Then the children of your first wife will say, this is the house of our mother, not this one. So you have got to find a way. And if you can die having not resolved that, your children from the first marriage will club with the in-laws, two families, your family plus their mother's family, to chase this one and her children out. Family breakdown. As these things happen. These things happen. They don't need prayer. They need decisive action while you are still alive. Yeah. So that's a reality here. So it has a tendency sometimes to take a posture of another marriage in waiting. What do I mean? A marriage in waiting, it's like this is not the end. Especially if the two of you are married and then you have got these children who have parents from outside. Those parents, even if they are married, they will pose a threat of wanting to dissolve this marriage in order to establish. Let me make an example to simplify this. We are faced with challenges where married people resuscitate interaction with their exes. It's going to be simpler now. Exes. using social media. You know, you trace him or her. Both of you are married. You moved on. Now, then you reconnect through social media platform. Maybe after 15 years. Are you still alive? Yes. Where are you? How is life? No, I am married with these children. My children are doing that's good. Congratulations. Well done. And how is your life? Hey, I'm surviving. I'm surviving. It's not been easy. I missed those days. I mean, it's honest. I missed, because there were good times. Isn't it? There were good times. I missed those days. This and this and this and this. Then there's rekindling, revival of connection again. Now, if one's marriage hits the rock, the person already has an alternative. So it has got that posture of a marriage in waiting. So that is why it's easy for a man to divorce the wife, move on, marry another wife. If things do not go well, goes back. Which means the first wife became a marriage in waiting. That's why akazi ukuthi athi so ngcono ndibuyele kumama abantwana bami. Which means all along that has been a marriage in waiting. So especially if there's ill treatment from the second marriage, he decides to say, look, I enjoyed the peace there. It was quiet with my ex. And my ex is still available. Because look, women, what often, there are two things that bother a man. Not to die in difficulties. And what will happen when he's no more? A man's decision is influenced, no matter how foolish that decision can be, is propelled, is influenced by those two questions. I can't afford to die under these circumstances. What will happen after I'm no more? That's why as a wife you must be careful that a man is walking with those questions. So you must be fair, you must be unfair, but more fair, because a man has those. So that's why it's easy for a man, old man, says, I'd rather go back home. He can even resign and go back home and say, poverty is better than this kind of treatment I have. It's an unwise decision, but the man is thinking do I have to lose my life under these conditions? When I am dead, will this person give me a decent burial? What will happen for my inheritance? A man always think back and forth around those two. I know niyafuna amadoda but aniwazi. You must understand the psychology of a man. So it can be expensive and emotional training, but also it may have an influence on the size of the family. Because, for example, if one, for example, of the cases I'm dealing with is that, yes, it's the first marriage for the wife, it's the second marriage for the husband, but from the first marriage, this husband has 6 children, and plus 4 children born outside. That's 10. And then from this second marriage is 1 child. So they've got 11. Now the wife is struggling to cope. And some of these children are grown up 26, 28 years old. So they are young adults. And this wife has got a 12-year-old. So now she wants to exercise authority over a 26-year-old using the standards of a 12-year-old because she has never raised a 26-year-old. Now, a 26-year-old doesn't think twice. Mommy, this can't happen. You can't tell me that. Remember, I'm no longer a child. I'm an adult. This is my home. This is my dad. You are my step-mom. Backlines are drawn. I'm trying to tell her to say, look, there are certain things you must learn to let go. You have never raised up a child who is 26 years. You are applying teenage standards over an adult. One is 27, one is 25. So sometimes they come together and I fear for my life that they can beat me. I said, yes. They are just giving you, they can beat you to hell because they are young adults. No, my husband is not protecting me and so forth. Your husband is far ahead because he has given birth and raised. So your husband is not failing to protect you, but he understands. He has come a long way with these adults, young adults. You are married to a man who is way ahead, and yet you want to exert authority. A newcomer exerting an authority to veterans. Blended family dynamics. Very important. So, and surely the man I'm sure I did not ask them, but I don't have to ask them. I don't think this man is looking forward to the 12th child because even this one is a rally. So, but surely there are questions this woman has. I know. I am not going to raise them with her. The issues of certainty. If my husband dies, what will happen of me? Because they are adults. And they will want to bury their dead the way they want. And they may chase me with my child. That simply means then you have got to explore all the dynamics associated with a blended family and see if a will is not necessary so that it kills any fight that may arise. The second thing is, if you are to be part of a blended family, be proactive. Opt for a marital contract that in a way will help. Because a marital contract plus a will, those are the two legal instruments that the state or executor of the estate may use to adjudicate when a fight arises amongst your kids. Very important. I know these are the things that we hardly consider, especially as charismatic. Now, these are the considerations then, as I'm trying to move fast. Consideration number one. I want us to consider how important it is to prevent what is preventable. Don't commit yourself into something like a relationship whose setup you cannot cope with. Very important. You already have 5 children, you are not married. Even if you marry someone with no children, that person lacks parental experience. If you marry someone with 7, that means you have 12 children. Can you cope? Yeah. Don't commit yourself into anything that you can hardly cope with. That's the point. In other words, do self-assessment. Can I cope with this? Love is there. You see, the danger of love is that it hides reality costs. You know, love, it hides reality costs. It's emotional in nature. So you don't need love alone to commit or make a commitment. You need your mind as well. So say, this is love. Wait, love. Mind, test this. Test this. I am taken up, but I do not want to move unless my mind has done proper analysis. Very important. Test it. Very important. So don't think by your heart. Your heart is here. Your mind is here. Why is your mind here? So that it determines your next move. It's not here. Your mind is not about the past. You are straining your mind when you apply it to things of the past. That's why you easily have a headache. Because that's not how the mind has been designed. The mind is for forward thinking. You are constraining your mind when you want it to find answers from history. Your mind is set as a navigator for your own future. Think tomorrow. Think tomorrow. Think tomorrow. Think tomorrow. Remember, prodigal son, Luke 15:7, when he came to his senses, he did not have to say, will they accept me and so forth. He said, no, this is about me. I can't go on like this. I must go home. Even if when I get home, I am made a servant. What matters most? Home is home. It is not what the position my dad gives me. I'll be with my dad because at home, even servants live on bread. Yet here, I have nothing to eat. Mind. So, very important. So don't do that. Never take a decision or adopt an attitude that does not solve the situation. So waste ixesha ucaphukela into ukucaphuka kwakho ongazukunceda nganto. You say, if I had known, I would never have married you with these children. Hey, look, situation right now. That's your premise. Situation right now. How to cope. That's it. So don't waste your time with what is beyond your influence. You are now married, and that's it. Even if you were to be given an opportunity, you would revisit. But there is no more an opportunity. So you don't have to revisit. There is no longer an opportunity. It's like a dead person. Remember this, okay, let me leave that example. Remember this rich man in the Bible, Divas. He sought an opportunity that had already gone. If I can be allowed to go back, warn my brothers. Said, no, there's already a boundary. If someone then on my behalf said, no, if they can't hear, those that are with them, forget. That's in the book of Luke. A parable of a rich and a poor person. So when you are married, even you are single, you are single, you have got children. That's not a dream. That's a reality. You can't wish that away. No. That's a reality. That's a reality. Already, whatever you do, yours, it's a blended one. You are a candidate of a blended family. So you must calculate the implications. Don't just settle for anything. Because it could be you can live better without getting married. It could be marriage is not the best for you, given your situation. Marriage is not meant to improve what should have been worked on by you. It does not replace your role. No, marriage is not a walking stick. Learn to walk on your own. It's not a walking stick. There are people who can't walk. They look for marriage as a walking stick. No. Marriage is not a assess the situation. Will I be better off when I am married, or I'm better off? Neither of the two is the best. But which one at least? Because remember, in one option, you still have oxygen, even if you get oxygen through mask. But the other option, it will be disconnection of oxygen. At least there's oxygen. You have oxygen marks, you can still breathe. But the other one, you are disconnecting. The question is, can you live without oxygen? So those are the realities. Again, let me say this. You in life, face the realities. Subject your dream to realities. It has been my dream to buy myself this type of a car. That is fine. But the reality is it still necessary now? So learn to subject your dreams to reality. No. Now, I don't need that car. I only need a double cab because I'm close to retirement, and I'm going to go home. It's in rural area, so I need a buggy. I no longer need that Mercedes-Benz. So my dream has been overtaken by other realities of life. In life, you have got to do that. You see that? No. I wanted to build my home and so forth. Your parents are no more. Your siblings are all over the world. They are on their own. Who is going to stay at home? Nobody. So what are you building your home for? Your children have just told you that we are not rural fellows. So even yourself, your health condition, you find that home is not a good place for your own retirement. You see? So face that reality and say, I will support them because my family are in rural areas. I will visit them now, but I can't build my home, my parents' home. Situations have changed. Very important. Also, consider age. You need to come to a stage where you say, the age I am at is best without marriage than in marriage. Because the age that I'm at, I have my own authority, independence. So I am beyond a person's control. Even at home, I call shots because I am old, I'm an adult. Men in the village, they will wait for me to give direction. I am single, but my age has given me authority in my family. It's not my marriage, it's my age. Now, if I marry, it simply means I am subjecting myself to the authority when I am subjecting other people to my authority. Then the question is, can I allow that? Am I ready? Just on matters of authority. You have got to apply your mind. Let alone that that person will come with a package. You are used to stay alone, quiet place, and so forth. Now this person brings children. You will complain. My house is dirty. My car is dirty. This thing. And children by nature, they mess up. They learn through that. So which simply means it's not because these children will be naughty. It's not because they will be unruly. They are children. But most unfortunately, they are in a space where children no longer have a room. Now, it's a question of either they are chased away because they cannot be changed from being children. They cannot be adults before being children. So you want adults from children. It can't work. You want yourself from people who are no longer yourself. They are not children. They are not adults. So that's a reality. Again, always understand it's almost impossible to separate an individual from his or her blood, belonging and possession, unless he or she decides so. Awuzokwazi ukumohlukanisa umuntu nabantwana bakhe unless he or she decides to do so. All of us say, I will, but in reality, blood is thicker than water. Not every problem needs an answer that makes it to disappear. Take note of that. Some life challenges need one to adjust in order to cope with it. There are challenges in life whose answer will not lead to their disappearance. The only answer to them is to learn how to adjust and cope with them. So don't fool yourself saying you do not want it. Because by implication you are saying disappear. Yet when I look at the nature of the problem, you have to learn how to cope and live with it. So don't be unfair, don't be unrealistic to yourself. It can't. Very important. Whether you are single, whether you are married, there could be one or two things that will call for you to adjust and cope. Cope means developing an ability to live with this challenge without being affected. We are boosting yourself. Remember, when it is cold, you can't stop it, but you decide how to cope with this cold. Look at the heater here. Look at how we have dressed. We are not fighting against cold. We are saying, how can we remain warm when it is cold? In life, you need that. Kuyabanda, timlushushu. At least liquor should not be better than us. Liquor is cold, but it knows that my function, once I leave the bottle, I get to the inside of a human being. Then I begin to heat up. But whilst liquor is still in the bottle, it's cold. Liquor is clever. Whilst it remains in the bottle, it's cold. And the bottle never gets drunk. There's an understanding. There's an understanding between the bottle and the liquor. The bottle says, I'll keep you at the level of temperature you are supposed to be at. You will never make me drunk, no matter how high the volume of alcohol is. There's an understanding. So there is peace between the bottle and liquor. There's an understanding. But you open the bottle, you transfer liquor from the bottle into your body. Rules of the game change. Sawubona ngawe. So therefore, you cannot indulge in liquor and hope not to be drunk. Because you are not at the bottle. You are not the bottle. Very important. So there is no amount of hatred that can destroy. And blended family accept the grace to accept it. That should be the blended family. So there is no amount of hatred. You have got to come to terms with it. It is as it is. And there is no size fits all. It's dynamic. It depends. It differs. Same structure, but it differs in the extent. That's the problem. I can't see.
It's 13 minutes to go. So that we can accommodate questions.
Yes, 13 minutes. Good. I'm almost there. Now, here are the important tips then, quickly. Here I'm trying to say, here are my advice. I'm saying, do not marry a person with a blended family unless you are prepared to form part of the blending. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying there. Number two, I'm saying always act within your limitations than trying to fix what you should have avoided. Understand what you can cope with and what you cannot cope with, than getting yourself involved with what you have no capacity to live with or cope with. Never separate a man or a woman from his children, parents, and siblings. Don't try. You will fail. The man must separate himself, or the woman must separate himself. It cannot come through you. That's why verse 25, Genesis 2, therefore a man shall live. Not a woman shall make a man to live. You see. But also, rather just establish boundaries. Determine role play, that's how you manage blended family, and have rules of engagement, and always make sure that the center holds, the center being the marriage. Have a differentiated and a flexible approach to manage the blended family because it is fluid in nature. So in other words, there must be differentiated. I can't say, you cannot be mechanistical because you are dealing with human beings. So it must be a varying approach, but be flexible at the same time. Always engage openly about it and be honest with the way you feel. Be sensitive with how your spouse feels as well, and learn to be realistic than to be unrealistic. Let me then conclude. A family is a family regardless of how it is structured. That is important. It's a family. Number two, a blended family is not different, except that it is uniquely structured, but it is still a family. A blended family is manageable. That's my conclusion. But you have to do some reality checks and balances. There must be understanding, sensitivity, and honesty. That is very important. As a matter of fact, a blended family is the first product of every marriage. In this case, then, you marry a person from a family, isn't it? So that's the point there. So therefore, you must embrace it and try to minimize its complexity by avoiding a union with someone already with children. That's if you can't cope, just avoid it. Otherwise, it doesn't mean if you've got children, you may not marry. There is no biblical hindrance, no cultural hindrance. So you are free to get married. Thank you then. Time for questions.
Maybe before I go,
Yes.
let me start by asking,
Yes.
for those who want to get married in a form of a blended family, what is the right time really to introduce kids in this form of a relationship?
It is always important to establish kids' interest or solicit opinion and attitude, even far before someone approaches you or you approach, to say, my children, given the fact that your mother passed on, what is your expectation about me? Would you wish me to get married or not? What's your take? Have a frank discussion first. Just establish in children's appetite, interest, opinion. So that if they say, we do not want you to marry, then seek reasons. So that then, once you have established the reasons, then you begin to engage. Because their reasons may be ill-advised. Their reasons also could be a sign that they have not healed from the loss of their mother or father. Their reasons could be a fear of how life will be if someone else joins the family. So there must be a frank discussion there at a principle level. Once then the lights are green, then you are able to say, as we had discussed some years ago, I have now reached a stage where I think I must marry. If you are a mother, someone is approaching me for marriage, and I seem to have fallen in love. But this is what I have for you with regard to my decision. In other words, some guarantees, some assurance. Will your decision to marry expose them or desert them? Where do they feature in this decision? What will be feminist? Start that engagement. Number 3, once you have done that, then you can introduce. There's a lot of behind the scene groundwork. I would even always say, when you are for a second marriage or third marriage, even establish from your children, especially if they are young adults, what kind of a mother or a father do they think you deserve? Not they think they deserve. Because remember, your children have lived with you. They have seen you with their mother, with their father. They know your strengths. They know your weaknesses. They have a future for you. It doesn't mean you will agree with everything, but do that so that you make them have a role in this journey, so that they gain confidence. Because by so doing, you are changing their attitude to this one. They will say, you know, you are our mother, you are father. We are looking forward to build a family with you. We love you, and so forth. Because remember, your spouse may not have authority over your children unless your children permit him or her. They can't. They will tell, and your spouse will come to you and say, what do I do? I'm suffering from rejection. Now you will be in a dilemma. Do I choose my children? Do I choose my spouse? It's a hard choice to make. What will be your choice there? If you choose your spouse, who will take over you there? The best approach is a win-win. Let children benefit from your decision as you are going to benefit from your decision, because nonetheless, we are building a family. Remember, what if you will die first? What will happen? You don't want to live. You don't want your death to be the beginning of a war in your family because of your decisions. So that is important. That's how I always advise people. Don't rush. Take baby steps. Your children must be on board, because there is a future that they have got to form part of. and parcel of it. If you have neglected them, then you expect them to form part of that future. They will pull the other side away. Buzani. Yes.
In terms of assets, now let's say I was married before, even if I'm not married, but I've got assets. And then I'm going to get married to this person who's got children. So what is your advice there? You know, I used to work with this colleague of mine who was marrying a lady that equally they had kids. The lady had kids as well. So he had a house in Witbank, the guy, and the lady had a house here. So I asked the guy, where are you guys going to stay after you get married? The guy said, we are moving into